Okay, hey guys, we are recording. I know you can't see me very well. We are in Malta. Well, I'm in Malta, and already have my first question. I'm going to repeat the question, and this is the first Q&A session for this week, and this week is the week of September 13th, Monday, September 13th, and we're going to move on with this private Q&A. Okay, so the first question is in regards to Tether. Tether seems to always be pumping the price of Bitcoin when it goes up. And whenever Bitcoin struggles, there is no Tether being printed. And the concern is what happens if Tether implodes? What happens to Bitcoin? Will it cause a bear market? So there's my answer is people misunderstand Tether, the creation of Tether. And we can debate whether Tether, the money is there or not there, but the reason why Tether always seems to be getting printed and causing the price of Bitcoin to rise, I don't believe that you can make that correlation. I believe that a lot of Tether gets printed because the price of Bitcoin is rising. When the price of Bitcoin is rising, it's rising because there's more demand for Bitcoin. And when there's more demand for Bitcoin, there is more demand for Tether. So it's not that like the evil people at Tether decide that, this is the time to start pumping Bitcoin and we're going to start to print Tether. I don't believe that's how it works. Tether is under a lot of scrutiny. I don't believe that they're printing Tether out of thin air and one guy is becoming, is now worth $800 billion because he printed himself all that Tether and bought all this Bitcoin. I don't believe that. So while that's possible, I don't really believe it. So a lot of people confuse that they think that the printing of Tether causes Bitcoin to rise. Like I said, I don't believe that. I believe the rise in Bitcoin's price generates demand for Tether. And when demand for Tether is generated, more money gets sent to Bitfinex, and Bitfinex moves that money into other assets or cash at the bank or whatever, or commercial paper, and that allows them to print more Tether. Because there is demand for more Tether with the rising of Bitcoin's market cap. Now, if Tether is found to be completely fraudulent and Tether starts to implode, I believe maybe in the very short term, it will panic some Bitcoin people to sell their Bitcoin. But I think it's crazy to sell Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the one unconfiscatable asset. And there is a lot of exchanges that are holding this Tether that could be left holding the bag. And I think there'll be rumors of Tether imploding. And those rumors will be when people are getting rid of their Tether like a hot potato, trying to acquire as much Bitcoin as possible. So a collapse of Tether can send the price of Bitcoin to $300,000 in a matter of weeks, as everyone will try to dump their Tether and acquire as much Bitcoin as possible, selling Tether at 50 cents on the dollar just to acquire Bitcoin. And it's very hard to find that Bitcoin. So I think a Tether implosion is actually bullish for Bitcoin and not bearish for Bitcoin. Your opinion on refugee visa policies, which country should have? There is some debate on this. I mean, I've heard professor presentations that there should be open borders. It was Mr. Schooland. I've heard several presentations by him. His wife, Lee Schooland, always talks about China and like her escape of communist China. And he always talks about open borders. But I've also seen a very good TED talk from a person saying that, like Western countries should not steal the brightest people from developing countries because they could do so much more good in their own countries. So I'm going to stay away from this one. I don't really have a big opinion. I mean, I'm of the belief that, a country should have an immigration policy, but they should choose people. Like they should screen those people better to see, will those people bring, like, will they bring a positive effect to your country? And more importantly, like, are these people coming in capitalists or are they socialists? Because like socialism and communism will destroy your country. I don't know how to screen for that, but I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't really have a good opinion on it. Biden mandated vaccines. Isn't it an open war? It is. It is. It's really bad. Biden should not have been able to do this because of gun rights. Well, yeah, well, it's not the gun rights. Like, that's the thing. My view is that a lot of politicians, they don't believe in the laws that built the country, especially in the United States. Like Biden doesn't even know what the Constitution is, and he couldn't care less that it exists. I mean, forcing vaccines is basically unconstitutional, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's hard to know. It's hard to know future trends. It's a tough question. All right, wow, you've put in a lot of questions. Is it now possible to get to Malta without a vaccine? Possible, but tricky. You will have to quarantine. You just got to quarantine in an enjoyable place. Like the Westin. You can also file for government exceptions. Also, it depends on your residency. Like there's always exceptions if you have the right paperwork, which I personally hate paperwork, but you got to do it. While choosing countries to migrate to, which factors would be ranked higher? And like USA was supposed to be the best country, given the most rights to citizens, but that is surely turning into a shit show. Texas and Florida are still good. South Dakota is good, just not a lot of people. I'm hoping that, you know, either a capitalistic president wins the election and Congress becomes Republican, it's better. Look, I'm not a big fan of Republicans, but at least they're not communists like the Democrats. And I'm not a fan of communism. So I still think the US will split. I still think the US will split. Do you think there are good sweeteners for health compared to sugar? Maybe coconut. There's like, I would stay away from like stevia and all this other stuff. Try to stay away from sugar completely. I mean, if you have a little bit of raw honey, it's not that bad. You want to just cut off sugar. The sugar is so bad. If you need like something sweet, just stick to natural fruit and coconut. Coconut can be sweet. If government prints money, not by borrowing, then effectively it has to be paid back and taxes. No, that's the thing. If government's printing money, it doesn't have to be paid back. That's the point. And taxes don't need to rise since money. Yeah, exactly. If the government was just printing money, you don't need to tax because you don't have to pay it back. What exactly is bad in printing situation except for like losing currency value and possibly hyperinflation? Yeah, that's the bad part. So you will slowly devalue your currency, but remember, if there is I want to zoom the camera out so you can see more of the beach. I explained this in a different private Q&A, if your government is simply printing money and not borrowing it, it doesn't have to pay it back, and therefore it doesn't have to have tax revenue. So as long as it's printing money responsibly, and as crazy as that sounds, it is somewhat possible, there is demand for the money of your country. And as that demand increases, you can expand the money supply for the increased demand. When that demand starts to shrink, you got to stop printing that money. So the government has to be very lean. You can't have a big government sector. So only the government employees get paid in printed money. And if you have a very small government sector, then very little money needs to be printed. Do you think pulses are not that nutritious? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm not sure what pulses are. Sorry, can't answer that. I too am of the opinion that COVID isn't dangerous mostly. Yeah, mostly is important. Look, guys, I've had COVID and it's not pleasant. And I have a couple of friends that have COVID now, both female, and they're struggling. Like they're in bad shape from COVID. I'm not going to name any names, but they're struggling. One is vaccinated and one isn't. And they're both struggling. It's hard to say who is struggling more. But again, I don't want to talk about people, but they're both having a very hard time with COVID. But there's also so many unreported cases of damage by vaccine, and it's the truth. Like I just want the truth. I want the truth about, I don't want the government lying, playing down the dangers of vaccines, and I also don't want them lying, playing up the dangers of COVID. Like just give people the truth, and that is my biggest problem. And I know they're lying about the dangers of vaccines, and I know they exaggerate the dangers of COVID. I've seen enough evidence of all of that. Here in India, in April, so many people were dying of COVID. It was astonishing. I'm not able to wrap my head around why. Well, because there is financial advantages of having COVID as the cause of a person's death. There shouldn't be financial advantages for that. People should have the truth, and it's hard to get the truth. All right, guys, I have a few more minutes, and then I do have to get going. If there's got to be some questions. Hey, Vinay, what are some mathematical concepts everyone should know, which most skip them because they think they are complex? Oh, probably statistics, understanding statistics, and calculus 2. Just calculus 1 and calculus 2. Really understand it. I think it's really, really good stuff. Helps you understand rate of change. Will definitely help you understand options if you understand calculus 1 and 2 very well. And calculus 1 and 2 are not that hard. All right, guys, I may get going early, which is great. So these private Q&As will keep going till the end of the year. And after that, I might do something else. Okay, I'll keep you guys posted. All right, thank you all for watching. And see you all on the next one. Thanks, Rashul. See you guys later. Hey guys, and we are recording this private Q&A session for Thursday, September 16th. I'm gonna try to keep this shorter, honestly, because my public stream went a little long and I didn't want to get on the whole vaccine rant, but I kind of did at the end. Maybe we'll cut that out or something. I don't know. from the public stream. I might cut it out from the public stream. I don't know. Sooner or later, this channel is going to get banned for being too political. So I do need to open up a political channel, but opening another channel is a pain in the ass. All right, now I'm ranting again. Let's look at the questions. They're actually not trading related today to start, but maybe a few trading related questions will show up. What are the best solutions to read about nutrition? Or why is there a misconception about nutrition? It all comes down to money. The current nutrition is just like with the current medical mandates. It's all about profits for corporations, and corporations want to feed you the cheapest, worst garbage in order to make the maximum amount of profit. There's no profit can possibly be made from really healthy people. And while there have been some amazing vaccine breakthroughs, and like I said, I probably have over a dozen vaccines in me, and but it ends now. So this is pretty much where it ends with this particular vaccine is going to be. Let me just leave it there. Yeah, it's a really long discussion about misconceptions about nutrition. Look, my view is this. Read my article on nutrition. It's on vays.com blog, and I focus on nutritional density. They can't come out and say vitamin C no longer exists. So you look at your list of vitamins and minerals, and you eat food that maximize those vitamins and minerals, and you'll realize that it's mostly meat, fish, organ meats, and that's how you know what to eat. People in which countries are the healthiest? Australia versus USA versus Canada versus Asian countries. People in general are, every country has, what's the best way to say this? No matter how bad the food in your country is, there is some kind of a food that's a staple of that country that is highly nutritious. So while you can talk about communist Russia and communist China and how they don't have the communist, during the communist times you didn't have high quality food, but when I was a kid, I used to back in the Soviet Union, where we didn't have a lot of the food we eat, the good food we eat today, and it's mostly food like potatoes and other stuff. But Russia was very meat based, and so is China, and meat is very healthy. So while you can't have access to certain fruits and vegetables that have vitamins, you have access to other stuff. Also, growing up in Russia, liver was a staple in your diet, and that is incredibly healthy. Also in Russia, caviar and fish eggs is a staple in your diet. It's an expensive staple, but it was still, a staple. Like you growing up in a communist in Russia, you're cheap, like everyone's kind of broke. I mean, it's a communist country, but I remember eating caviar, and I remember eating liver. Now, liver is cheap, caviar is expensive. It could have been the other way around, right? Like if society appreciated how amazing liver is, people are turned off by liver. Oh my God, liver, like you can't eat liver, right? Which is great. I love that because people are scared of eating liver. Liver is incredibly cheap to buy. Imagine if people appreciated liver the way they appreciate caviar. I wouldn't be able to afford it because like I don't eat caviar, not the black version anyway. I eat the salmon caviar version, the salmon roll, and that one is reasonable. That one is maybe $20 a pound, which is reasonable, and it's incredibly healthy, right? Like I wish people hated oysters. I really do, because oysters are incredibly expensive at a restaurant. Here in Malta, €450 per oyster. That's about $5 per oyster. That's insane. I buy oysters in the US at a farmer's market for $1 an oyster. I do have to shock them myself, which is a nightmare. But at least I buy my oysters at a 80% discount, right? If you want to buy oysters in a can, that comes out to about 5 cents an oyster. And I do buy oysters in a can. I order a dozen oyster cans from Amazon, and it just shows up in my house. And each can is like $3 or $4, but each can has like 10 to 20 oysters, right? So the price drops to like 10 cents an oyster. And the amount of nutrition there is incredible. Assuming that the canned oysters have similar nutrition to, fresh oysters. And I haven't done that kind of deep dive research, unfortunately. I haven't had the time. So if you want to read about the history of the central bank, I'm going to go to screen share. In my blog, do a search for Fed. And you find this old anarchist interview and the Fed. You can watch the interview. It's with Jeff Berwick, who I don't really respect all that much because I find him to be very scammy and working with a lot of scammers. And too many people kept messaging me after attending his events because he personally scammed them and they wanted me to do something about it. So the best thing I have to do about it is no longer associate. But the point of me going to this, it's from 2015 too, look at that. Read these articles. If you want to learn about the history of the Fed, read these. I mean, this is old. I added a couple, like some of the recent ones in 2020, but this is everything here is from Martin Armstrong's blog. And like, read this in order. And I kind of stopped reading his blog because I got busy. And then I started reading it again. And then whenever he talked about the Fed, I would just link it into here. But go ahead and check that out if you want to know about the history of the Fed. All right, guys. Hey, Mark, can I give you speaking privileges? Jump on here with me for a minute. Let's talk about Consensio.
All right. Hey, Tone, how you doing?
Good. What do you think here? This is what, did you see my public video today?
Yeah, I did. I checked it out.
All right. So I'm very close to going back 100% bullish on Consensio. What do you think?
Yeah, we, of course, I think if we were going with Tyler's strategies, he would have taken some profit out, when the MAs cross on a close, and he might not be entering back again until that short term crosses back above the medium term. And then he would probably get back into 100% allocation, but it looks good. There's something else kind of important happening as well. I mentioned a couple of streams ago that whereas 3-day I think is very good. The 4-day, I know it's not a time frame we monitor, but the 4-day adds a little bit level of conservativeness to it. And that long-term moving average has finally curled up. I've been waiting for that for a couple of weeks.
Wait, but the long-term moving average has been going up for a while.
No, but on 4-day.
Oh, on 4-day. Okay.
Yeah, check the 4-day. I know it's a strange time frame, but I'm trying to find the bridge between weekly and something more crypto friendly. And I think 3-day, 4-day is a sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean, according to the 4-day, we got a while to go before those moving averages cross. I mean, we could be above 55 by then.
Exactly. That's why I like the 3-day. I think it's conservative enough. But one thing I was looking for the past 2 or 3 weeks is actually just the posture of the long-term moving average on 4-day. Because even if the moving averages were bullish spread, Tyler still wanted the long-term moving average curling up, coming from flat. He still wouldn't enter if that moving average was still trending down.
I see.
So having the 4-day curl up is pretty bullish to me. I'm still cautious of.
By the way, so just so you know, because I'm using my moving average forecast of 3 additional candles, I cannot go lower than a 3-period short-term moving average. So that's why I'm using a 3. Oh, come on. That's why I'm using a 3 and not a 2.
Well, actually he would kind of bounce back and forth between 3 and 2.
Right. But I also upped my intermediate to 9 because I felt like 3 to 7, they were all too close to each other.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I wouldn't object to that moving to a 3-day time frame. And what is the price of what is the price of the 9?
The moving average, the price
Yeah.
of the 9-period moving average, 48.5.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, to me, I'm kind of wanting 45 at the lowest, but really 46 or 47 to be solid support, and then start closing above 48 for me to get a little bit more, a little bit more bullish on that. But that move of the 4-day was pretty important in my opinion, getting that long term to curl.
All right, we got a couple of stocks. Let's go and take a look. First, we have LICY. And beautiful MRI buy on the weekly and the daily, and it remains bullish. The gap's closed. Kind of sucks that today is a down day. I think the stock market is getting ready to rebound. I would just, raise my stop loss to break even, assuming that you got in somewhere just above $8. And I would set that stop loss to about $8.24. That's $8.28. So we can lower this thing to $8.24 or $8.23. Hopefully that is above your entry point. And that's where I would leave that stop loss. And hopefully we can make it to an MRI sell. Next up, we have Goldman Sachs. Ooh, that is a nasty candle, and I don't like it. Well, this is clearly, see, this is a bit of a conflict, right? You have a weekly MRI sell with a daily MRI buy. The weekly, of course, takes precedent over the daily MRI buy. So at this point, I would be bearish on Goldman Sachs due to the weekly MRI sell. And you see, like this week is not even a red star candle. But if we go down a little bit more today, this will turn into a red 2 with a red star. Well, actually, the red star may not come. It depends if you have that setting or not. But either way, this is a very bearish looking chart to me. Now we are coming up on a prior swing high, and this is probably just a 1 to 4 candle correction before more upside. But as of today, this Thursday, I would just wait. And if Friday it starts trading badly, that is definitely a potential shorting opportunity. Plus, the break of prior swing low accelerates the drop. But I will be cautious here. Daily MRI buy could pull us back up. I generally stay away from it, but if I would rather be short for another week or two instead of long. That was a tough one. And finally, we have Roku. And Roku is looking beautiful. I'm gonna put in a potential long trade here on Roku only because the risk reward is very clean. So we have a long entry, let's just say right now, this second, and the stop loss is the swing low. And if we do go to the swing low, it's a potential shorting opportunity. And the reward could be as high as the MRI resistance line. I mean, we did make it all the way down to the MRI support line of these tops. And Roku has taken a monster hit, and sooner or later, it's gonna have to bounce back a little bit. So, yeah, let's see what this brings. I would take a swing at this. A very low risk trade. All right, guys, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it here. Oh, you got a hand up. Hey, Patrick. You can speak if you want.
Oh, just thanks for reviewing those stocks. Sorry, it's late coming in.
Oh, what time zone are you in?
Singapore, so it's 1
Jesus.
a.m.
Okay. I had no idea. You have. I've seen a picture of you and your name, and the last place I expected you to be is in Asia.
Yeah, me too.
Hey, so Singapore is like a huge lockdown city. I mean, I don't know if I'm ever coming back to Singapore. It's crazy.
Yeah, everywhere I go, I have to like log in with my cell phone. And if I get sick, they get send an email to every person I came within 2 meters of. So
Yeah, it's. Do you guys have to wear like an ankle bracelet like a prisoner so that they know where you are at all times?
they use your phone for that. So if you're on quarantine, they'll send you a text at some odd hour. You have to take a picture of yourself and send it to them.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. What the hell's going on over there? So I don't know if I'm ever coming back to Singapore. And it was one of my top 5 favorite countries before COVID.
They're in a bad position because they set the goalpost at 0. And it's hard to have 0 infections. So
Right.
they'll never exit this.
Okay, so this tells me to do these a little bit earlier. All right. I will
No
let you go, which shouldn't be that hard considering I'm in Europe right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna, hey, come to the buy since they're still recording. Support Understanding Bitcoin. The YouTube channel is in the video description, and the Financial Summit. All right, bye guys.